Takulandirani pa Malawian cameras. Akuluakulu, nkhani ya mnyamata uja wa zaka 29 amene akufuna kuyimira UPresident uja. Nkhani njatu sikuti yakhalabo mpaja ikunka na pushidwa kuipusha ukafika kutsogolo. Tuone kuti zitheke bwanji. Ndipo panali program ndithu pa Zodiac Sunrise imene inanyamukidwa ndikupita ndithu m'misewu kukafunsa wanthu kuti akuluakulu program ikuona bwanji ya zaka zoti munthu ayimire UPresident. Why kuti ikhale kuyambira zaka 35 kumapita kutsogolo. Ndiye tinachitikaso mwaiso kupezekaso tinayi ndi political analyst amene timamudziwanso bwinobwino amene ali Victor Chipofya amene ndithunso anayingiranso komenti kutsogoloko koma ili mchizungu. Ndingo kupanga breakdown ndingoyika nthu mchichewa kuti muinvestise bwinobwino chimene amatanthauza. Yewe ndithu idea anayipanga support kuti mad guys tiganize bwino papa bwanji nkhani ya zakazi ikumayendera 35 kumapita kutsogolo. Palibe vuto kuti munthu ali zaka 29 afuna kuyimira UPresident. Ndi anapereka ma examples achina Aleke Banda akuti anayamba ndithu ndali ndithu ali mu early 20s. Ali ma 21, 22 choncho. Komanso akuti iyeyo Victor Chipofyayo anayankhula ndi Abakiri Muluzi, former president. Ndipo Abakiri Muluzi akuti anakhala anayamba ndale ali ndi zaka 16 ndipo anali ndithu president wa chipani ali ndi zaka 16 Abakiri Muluzi. Ndi zinthu ngati zimene zizi akuti chifukwa pano pa zinasiyika chifukwa zimachosa interest ya achinyamata nangasi timona ngati ndale oyena uchita ndakuluakulu okhaokha. Ndiyebe anyway tiona ndithu video imene muone kuti nkhani ikupushidwa bwanji. Guys, yes, makamaka moli mene tilione bwino. I think tiliunikeso bwino. Anthu azikwanisa achinyamata tikwanise kuyimira maudindo osiyanasiyana ma position osiyanasiyana uko boma posatengera kuti zaka zathu zili bwanji. Anyway guys, thank you so much. Tientuone limodzi.
Now, speaking of the elections here in Malawi, 29-year-old Dennis Mahata, who is challenging the legal age requirement for a presidential candidate, which is at 35 years old and above, according to the Constitution of Malawi, says he is confident he will be able to take part in the September 2025 tripartite elections. Mahata, who is a founder and the presidential candidate for the National Resolution for Change Party, NRC, says he wants to change and shape Malawi by ensuring economic growth, stability, empowering the youth, and advocating for social justice by prioritizing citizens' transformative change in Malawi.
I believe that one shouldn't contest, not just because he's young or not just because he's experienced. One has to contest because he has a political philosophy that is addressing the current needs of the nation. One should read the nation because he's telling the answers the nation is looking for. National Resolution for Change is a political philosophy that has been custom made. It has been written, it has taken 8 years, and we have been developing it. Tailor-made district for each and every district. It has one of the very outstanding concepts, account number 2. Which is something that we have never had in our financial systems. It has a very unique money security policy, which we don't have. Our country focuses much on the fiscal policy, but it is very blunt on the money security policy. So some of the key things that are in a political philosophy, and I feel like they need to be represented, and it's now. We have seen a lot of leaders, they come up with a solution of creating jobs, which is actually, they are confusing creating job descriptions with creating jobs. It's not the same thing. I'll give you a very quick example. At your house, there's a position for a watchman, there's a position for a housemaid, there's a position for a driver, there's a position for a garden boy. There are close to 4 to 5 positions at your house. But you may see that those positions are not filled. Why? because you don't have the salaries to give those people. So unemployment is an effect from a problem called the lack of money. If there was enough money in institutions, if there was enough money with the government, we wouldn't be talking about unemployment, because every vacant place would be filled with a position. So to deal with unemployment, shouldn't deal with unemployment by creating jobs. You should deal with the monetary policy. Fourth things: how money goes into a country, how it's utilized, how it's segregated, and how it's stored. Once you deal with this monetary policy, unemployment will fix itself automatically. I believe bringing themselves on and bringing some. I believe that one shouldn't contest, not just because it's young or not just because it's experienced. One has to contest because there's a political philosophy. One shouldn't contest, not just because it's young or not just because it's experienced. One has to contest because there's a political philosophy that is addressing the current needs of the nation. One should read the nation because he's telling the answers the nation is looking for. National Resolution for Change is a political philosophy that has been custom made. It has been written, it has taken 8 years, and we have been developing it, tailor-made district for each and every district. It has one of the very outstanding concepts, account number 2, which is something that we have never had in our financial systems. It has a very unique money secretary policy, which we don't have. Our country focuses much on the fiscal policy, but it is very blunt on the money secretary policy. So some of the key things that are in a political philosophy, and I feel like they need to be represented, and it's now. We have seen a lot of leaders, they come up with a solution of creating jobs, which is actually, they are confusing creating job descriptions with creating jobs. It's not the same thing. I'll give you a very quick example. At your house, there's a position for a watchman, there's a position for a housemaid, there's a position for a driver, there's a position for a garden boy. There are close to 4 to 5 positions at your house. But you may see that those positions are not filled. Why? Because you don't have the salaries to give those people. So unemployment is an effect from a problem called the lack of money. If there was enough money in institutions, if there was enough money with the government, we wouldn't be talking about unemployment, because every vacant place would be filled with a position. So to deal with unemployment, shouldn't deal with unemployment by creating jobs. You should deal with the monetary policy. 4 things: how money goes into a country, how it's utilized, how it's segregated, and how it's stored. Once you deal with this monetary policy, unemployment will fix itself automatically. I believe bringing themselves on and being a son of a commoner, there's a lot of criticism and a lot of insults, because you can't blame the people. One, they've been let down for a very long time. 2, they always feel like everyone wants politics as a political career. So because of their perception, we insulted and they were criticized. But I always know that it's very important that we just focus on what is driving us to achieve what we want to achieve, and I think the rest will join after seeing the results. So we don't focus much on the critics and the insults. I feel like the biggest qualification of a leader who needs to come and lead Malawi shouldn't be intellectual, and they shouldn't be accumulated through experience. The biggest qualification should be a heart that puts others before himself. Many leaders have come in Malawi to pursue a political career, but someone who can change this country should come not to pursue a political career, but to come as a political redemption. Someone who has come to sacrifice himself, sacrifice his leadership abilities and bring about his political philosophy. I feel that's the biggest qualification. Out of love, I would like to encourage everyone who has been following us. I would like to encourage them in a way that they should know that this country is fixable, always not lost yet, with the right desires, with the right motive, and with the right sacrifices. We can be able to turn this country around for us and for our children. And I would also like to advise them that they should never feel like they should come first. They should be commoners who feel like the country should come first, and that's the highest level of patriotism. They should be ready to sacrifice everything they have for the cause of the betterment of this
Dennis
country.
Mahata's challenge of the constitutional age requirement for presidential candidates in Malawi, Sunrise went to the streets to hear the views of the citizens on the issue.
Zinanganira kuti makunganya nofuna ndiperekeko maganizo iyi ndiona ngati ndiganizo si ganizo labwino pachifukwa yokuti panopa generation ikusintha panopa dziko likupita pasogolo tikuyenera kumene achinyamata tapase mwayi kuti nawonso aonese chidwi chawo aonese nzeru zawo kuti akhoza kuthandiza bwanji boma lawo nde boma izizi ndiona kuti sakutani sanalingalire bwino kuli bwino nyamata yakanampasa chance kuti aone kuti apanga zero zotani mova panopa mipando imene ya UPresident sitikufuna panopa kuti anthu akuluakulu a zaka 50 chakuti mapita kuti azikhala akuyimira UPresident umene pachifukwa chokuti chani zinthu zikusintha. That's why muzoona panopa ziko siliyenda bwino chani chifukwa choti chani azisogolera athu akhangati kuti ndanzeru zatani zopereka ifala anakulakula nde kuli bwino apase achinyamata apase mwayi achinyamata kuti nawonso azitha kutani azitha kupereka kuyimira mwina kuthandizira dziko lino kuti mwina lipite pasogolo. Awapa maganizo ayene kwambiri mapempha kwa akuluakulu amene amapanga malamulo kusogoloko kuti malamulo asinthe chifukwa izizi sizoona chifukwa akamira malamulo amene wanda kuti dziko linonso azilipitisa pansi silimapita pasogolo.
Ine anekwetembe malamulo inde sakutulola kuti mwina ana ngati azaka 20 kuti tikhale tikuyimira maudindo akuluakulu ngati amene wawo koma papa tikuona ndi nthawi yathu ileyo tayesa kokwana anthuwo defeso kuti ndi nthawi chifukwa panopo ndi ufulu wathu okuti ifeso tionese mphamvu zoti titha kuyimirira maudindo ngati amene akuluakulu kuti nafeso tiyese anthu asiyanise akuluwo ndife tusiyana bwanji poti pano ndi nthawi yathu ndi nthawi yawina alise pano pali ufulu de palibe wina wake kuti amene anganena zoti pano ndi zaka zochepa kapena ndikuti zotengera mmene ulili ndimene tikumverera panopo ino ndi mbado wina ndio zotheka zimenezo ndithu de pa malamulo akunena ndolesa panopo koma ifeyo kumbali athu tikutha tione kuti ifeso nthawi yathu yatukwanira yoti titha kutani kuyimirira zimenezo zoti tione kuti kumalamulo zinthu zimasintha atisinthirese nafeso malamulo kuti ifeso tionese mphamvu zathu zoti ifeso titha kuyimirira malamulo ujeni paudindo amenewo oti asiyanise ndi anthu ujeni malamulo eno asogolo amene achitika apo ndi mbado umene tingapanga ife kuti malamulo wathu atatipasa tingapanga chani tifuna tisiyanise zimenezozo kuti ifeso titha kuonesa zinthu zoti ifeso tindi kuthekera kupanga zimenezozo.
Sinalanga ine ndi chipililo kapalamula kuyima president kulibe kuti zaka zokwanira zingati ayi chifukwa bwana lulu nzuzeni neza munthuwe chifukwa ziko lisatoka sikuyenda bwino kwa ifanya malanga lifeyo ngati munthu nzuzeni neza kuyenera kuyima president kuti mina kuyese zinthu kusintha zinthu ndikuona ngati kuti akuti khomerera chabe kutengera kuti nanga si munthu ndizo zenu neza kuti kuti mmene kuyima president ndi ziko kuona kusibwino chikunika kuona kuti amene akulamula kuti ziko anyamata tundiwa zaka tundiya kuti asaime akuyenera be maganizo amene akhasula ndithu tikuyenera kuyima basi.
Maganizo anga ndokuti iyeyo pakuyimirapo khani yoti tufuna kusintha mengana ndi nyengo zathu mmene zikuyendera mmenga ndi zinthu mmene zikuvutiramo ndio mafika kumayesa choncho ndikuti iye ndi mmene ali mufo choti iyeyo akudziwa mmene zinthu zizilili ndikufa kuti zisintha.
Ine ndine Justice Lichowa imakhala kuntandire pankhani imene ya zaka 35 kuyapita uko kukhala president takhala tikuziyesera mbuyo monsemu. Ndiye chifukwa chofunafuna mwai tingathenso kusintha malamulo amenewa kumayeseranso iwo amene azipereka kuti angathe kukhala president. Chifukwa pamene munthu wapanga chiganizo yoti ndifuna kukhala mtsogoleri amakhala azilinga iyeyo kuti mwina mwake nzeru zabwino ali nazo. Malamulowa angathe kusinthidwa ngati anthu ataunguza bwino monkwana, chifukwa tili ndi akuluakulu okwanira ambiri amene atisogolera mdziko lino koma palibe chimene chatithandiza. Ndiye mwina mwake kuyeserabe kwa mphamvu kuti ngati monga ine wa business umati ukala kuti business siku wina umakayamba ina mchonga kuti mwina mwake ningawine mwina wene ngapeze mtendere. Ndiye kuyesera ndithu. Choyambirira timayamba timuone munthu uyo zimene akuyankhula, chifukwa sungamuvotere munthu usanamve mfundo zake. Akuyimira ndi mfundo ndi zinthu ziwiri zosiyana. Ndiye tingaone mfundo ngati zizogwira mtima palibe chondiresa nthu kwavota.
Amene maganizo a Malawi yomwe tinakumanizana nawo amene anakamba za nkhani imene. Komanso we went on to speak with political analyst Victor Chipofya. Chipofya commented on the implications of this move, stating that Mahata's bid could be a catalyst for significant shift in Malawi's political landscape. He emphasized that while the constitution sets a clear age limit, Mahata's challenge against, or shall I say highlights, a broader conversation which is broader about the youth involvement in politics and the evolving expectations of Malawian leadership. If Mahata's challenge succeeds, it could open the door for more young leaders to step forward, potentially transforming the political dynamics and policy focus in the country, Chipofya noted.
The first thing that we may need to consider and look at is why was that age limit put at 35? What was the reason that anybody that stands for president has to be 35? Because we need to start questioning such things. Because one, to be a member of parliament has to be 21 years old. What made the people that made those decisions to say that a member of parliament should be 21? And at the same time, our laws do say that if you are eligible to vote, you need to be 18 years old. So those all raise questions as to why were those decisions made, and how were those decisions made, who made those decisions, and how do those decisions help us as a nation? Because at the same time, we need to look back to say that we had people like Aleke Banda, who started politics when they were very young. Aleke Banda was in his early 20s, as a matter of fact. I've spoken with the former president, Dr. Bakiri Muluzi, who told me to say that he was one of the leaders, that time, political leaders, when he was just 16 years old. So now, what stops somebody who is aspiring to be a political leader at 29 now? Why should we stop them? So I'm not a legal expert. It will take our legal experts to look into this matter and to find out why this law came into being and why we're still working with it. There have not been any successful challenges, unfortunately. And one of the reasons is that most of the young people in Malawi don't want to participate in politics. And this has been one of my biggest projects to advocate for, to ensure that young people in Malawi are participating in issues of governance and issues of progressiveness in this country. Because for a long time, what we have seen is that politics is being practiced by people who have retired from whatever job they did, and now they get into politics as a retirement package, which is wrong. Yet we have had people like, as I've said, Aleke Banda, Bakiri Muluzi, Gwanda Chakwamba, Honorable Philip Bwanali, all these people, they've practiced politics from the time that they were young. And yet now we have moved that shift to make politics to become something that only the older generation are going to be able to do. The biggest challenge with the political system in Malawi, especially from a party level, is that we've built what we call the political elites, people that are unshakable, people that cannot be moved. So when you build a political elite, what you do is that you shut out the voice of the people. Because once the elites start to speak and their voices are louder than the voice of the people, then you're impeding democracy itself. Then you don't have intra-party democracy in these political parties. What we need to do is to get rid, as a country, of these political elites, people who think they are untouchable, people who think that their families are politically connected, therefore nobody can touch them. We need to do away with that. We need to give the voice back to the people, because that's what democracy entails. Democracy entails that the voice and the decision that needs to be made on governance needs to be made by the people. And we have failed to do that for a long time. I'll start with the good. I'll start with the good. The good is that you're looking at the percentage of people who vote. They are young people, lower than 18% to 18 years old to 35 years old. Now that's the percentage, large percentage of the electorate. So if you do lower that, it means that you're giving the opportunity to this age group of young people to be able to choose the people that they want to be in positions of authority and power. The bad about it is because you're talking about young people these days. To give anybody the power to govern, one has to be very mature. So you don't just have to say we're going to give the power to govern to somebody who's young just because you want to accommodate these young people, but you also need to know to say that how mature is that individual to be able to take up the government machinery. We know that there's a lot that has changed with our education system. Even now, I should say this, from before, somebody, a Form 4 student would be given a company to run. But right now, trust me, with our education system, even a university graduate, you cannot give them a company to run because of the standards. So it depends. That's the bad that I would say.
Well, it's fascinating to see such dynamic changes in our political scene. We will certainly be following closely to the story.